All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Frantic Talks podcast, episode 73. I am your host, Frantic. With me, as always, is my lovely co-host,
Grunt. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone, indeed, and we are here to talk about gaming.
And junk.
All right, so we got a mildly interesting episode today. Mainly going to be talking about the Destiny 2 beta, and I don't know if we have any other mild pieces of topics because I don't have it in front of me at the moment. But either way, it should be a pretty laid-back and fun-filled episode, hopefully. That's usually the goal. But let's start this off, as usual, talking about where you can find us. So, first things first, if you want to continue this conversation, add your own input, thoughts, whatever you would like, head on over to Twitter. That's going to be the easiest way to get to us. I am FranticJ3. He is Onyx Spartan, ONYX Spartan, all one word. And we are at Frantic_Talks. That is the official Frantic Talks Twitter account. Tweet at any of those you like to add your 2 cents to the conversation. We also have at FreakShow187 our special podcast Ghost, who likes his puns and will puntify anything that you need puntified. Also, if you want to catch this live, like we just mentioned, you want to join in on the conversation, but not necessarily via Twitter, you want to join in and have a conversation with us while we record, you can head on over to twitch.tv/Frantic Talks, all one word, where we go live every Saturday, usually, at 3 p.m. Eastern, usually. The good news is it's 3 p.m. Eastern on a Saturday, so we're doing pretty good in that aspect. But sometimes life gets in the way, we don't get to go live at that time. So follow us on Twitter and we'll let you know when that's going to happen. Also, if you cannot catch us live, it's okay. We release this every Monday as a podcast, but if you like an audio form podcast. But if you want to get early access, if you head over to youtube.com, search up Frantic Talks, and hit that subscribe button, you're going to get the video form of the podcast about an hour after we go live. So you'll get it 2 days earlier than you would get it if you subscribed on like iTunes or Stitcher, with the added bonus of seeing us all do our thing in real life instead of just listening to our voices. Also, you get the added bonus of a new video that we just added, along with potentially more of that said video, which is our genre guessing game, and we'll talk about that here in a couple minutes once we get out of the way of saying where you can find the rest of us. Also, head over to facebook.com/Frantic Talks, all one word. Hit that like button like 135 others have also done.
Correct.
135. Correct. Sweet. You'll get a more Facebook form of Twitter. If all else fails, head to frantictalks.com. That's where you'll find all of our articles, podcasts, and the like. These links I just all mentioned are in the footer, along with the DVRs of our Xbox, where you can see some of our hilarious clips that we record while playing. And every Monday is the podcast. Normally every Wednesday is a weekly column, and normally every Friday we have the Chronicles of Awe, which is a wrestling simulator game that our good special podcast Ghost Freak Show likes to talk about. Talk about that here in a minute, why we haven't had much there in the past couple weeks. We'll get there, don't worry. And also magic.frantictalks.com, Magic the Gathering articles, links on the Frantic Talks website, but that's where you can also find all of our Magic stuff. A quick little podcast I did not too long ago, and other random fun stuff there related to Magic. But hey, if all else fails, if you can't seem to find us through any of those means, it's quite alright. There's one simple way you can do this that will work, that will not fail you. So 110 times out of 10 Grunt, what should they do?
Direct yourself to your nearest search engine and just search Frantic Talks. You'll find us.
Works every time. We guarantee
every single time.
Guaranteed. Alright, so that's where you can find us. Hit us up. Let us know thoughts on anything we talk about today or in previous podcasts. If you're talking about a previous podcast, probably help to let us know which podcast or what topic we're speaking of. But either way, all that being said, we like to start off this podcast with one very simple question, one very easy, hopefully, to answer question, and that is, Grunt, how was your week?
It's been pretty busy, actually, just doing various odd end things.
Yeah.
Yes, I picked up a couple new music albums on Thursday.
Yeah.
So I've been giving those a listen to. It's Soil's Whole album.
Soil?
Yes, Soil.
I've never heard of Soil.
I like them. Their vocalist did a little stint in Drowning Pool from, I think, like 2005 to 2010 or something like that.
Was he the one that replaced the singer that passed away?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, then he left Drowning Pool to go back to Soil, which is where he originally came from. He came from the dirt. I am sorry, that is horrible.
That's a really bad joke, but it's quite all right. Shout out to Brock, by the way. How's it going? Brock has joined us in the live chat.
Hello, Brock. Let's see. The other one I picked up was Pantera's Cowboys from Hell. That's my first Pantera album.
That's a good pickup.
Judge me later.
Hey,
Just finally getting my first Pantera album.
Hey, it's okay. I mean, I don't actually own a Pantera album. I do a lot of my listening through Spotify just because I don't like purchasing discs unless they're used, and it's really hard to find a lot of the music I like used. So,
That's true.
I could talk about that later, but I don't have a Pantera album. I mean, I have the whole Metallica and Dream Theater discography, as most people would not be surprised to learn.
Dream Theater doesn't surprise me. Metallica does to some extent.
Well, they were like my original band. Also, shout out to Grunt Dad / Storm.
Yes.
So,
Everyone.
anyways.
Played a little Destiny this week, a little bit on my guitar. That's pretty much it. Mainly just did reset stuff in Destiny.
Okay, I haven't even done that. We'll get there.
That's been about it. Counting down the days until the Destiny 2 beta.
And we'll get there. It's going to be probably the main focal point of this podcast, so I'm excited to talk about that.
Yes, that's pretty much how my week has been.
Mm-hmm. That's
enjoying
good.
7 times better coffee.
Oh, look at you being cute. For those that are only listening to audio, he has a Bungie mug that he's drinking his coffee. Yes. Oh, well, I got this sparkling ice cherry limeade, 0 calories, so 0 times better. Wait, no, that's not how that works.
That's not how that works. So yeah, that's pretty much how my week was. How has yours been?
Pretty busy. I really want to read you this nutrition label real quick. Refrigerate after opening, as in life, chill for best results.
That's amazing.
I know. That's some deep stuff there. Storm, if you want to know my favorite song from Hardwired to Self-Destruct from Metallica, I'll be honest with you, I've barely listened to that album. Metallica was the thing that got me into metal music when I was like 12. But I have listened to enough of it, and the ones I heard on the radio, Moth into the Flame ain't too bad, and then Atlas Rise is pretty kick-ass. So those would be the 2 songs I've definitely heard. I heard Hardwired. I did not enjoy the lyrics from Hardwired. Felt too angsty teenager for those of you curious, but either way, those are my choices. But back to chill in life for best results. I did not have a chill week. No, it was far from chill. So what ended up happening, and I mean I knew this was happening, I just didn't say anything out loud about it, was Saturday we did the podcast. I went over to a friend's house that night, played some Rock Band. It was a lot of fun. Got really tired playing drums because that's the goal, burn some calories, play some music. I like doing that. And then from Sunday until Thursday, I was out of state on a business trip, so I did not get to do too much in terms of me stuff like playing games or anything. I did catch the episode of Monday Night Raw, and kind of just texting Freak Show about it while I was watching it. But otherwise, I was out in Minnesota, of all places, Minnesota, and I wasn't too far from Grunt, if I'm not mistaken. But that's all I'll say there. It was like a 9-hour drive, but I took plane, so I didn't drive. But I left around Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern and got back Thursday morning at like 1 in the morning. So I've had 2 days at home, well, 3 days technically. And in that time, all the stuff I've done, let's see, not much. I did go see Spider-Man Homecoming last night. That's about the biggest highlight in the past couple days. And holy cow, that's a great movie. If you have yet to see that, it's been out for about a week now. It's very good. I highly recommend it. It's the best Spider-Man movie I've seen. The first couple Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire was good. The third one, obviously Spider-Man 3, was the big one where everyone was like, what the hell are you doing? And then the Amazing Spider-Man series with Andrew Garfield, now I enjoyed it. It just wasn't as good as it could have been. And this is finally, I feel like, a great step in the right direction. Tom Holland's great. I enjoyed Michael Keaton as Vulture, and it's really funny, but people already knew this. Michael Keaton, Birdman, ha ha ha, great joke. For those of you who don't know, Michael Keaton was the original Batman. Well, not the original, but he was one of the first Batman from like the early Tim Burton movies or whatever. And then he did a movie called Birdman where he was this guy who was eluding his whole famous thing was he was some famous character called the Birdman in a movie, and that's the only highlight of his career. And now he's playing Vulture, who's a Birdman. It's really funny. It's just a big meta joke. But he's also a very good actor in the movie. There's a lot of great references in it. I was really upset Donald Glover was just some random thug and not like redemption arc Miles Morales character, which was really upsetting, if anybody knows what that means. But Brock says it's his favorite Spider-Man movie now, so I definitely think it's worth going to see. It's got a great Rotten Tomatoes rating, like 93%, I think, so highly recommend it. A lot of fun. I was laughing throughout most of it, and it was just great. anyways, that was basically all that happened for my week. I slept in way too late today. I woke up at like 1:30, so I haven't really done anything today besides eat pizza. I guess that counts as something. Whatever. Anyways.
I think it counts, so.
Yeah, so with that being said, let's go over some stuff that's been happening with Frantic Talks, or rather what hasn't been happening with Frantic Talks. So as you'll notice on screen right now, we have two podcasts, which is normally it's a podcast and then an article and then another article and then a podcast. Well, you'll see that we haven't posted any articles in the past 2 weeks. Now, last episode, if you listened, we did mention that Freak Show, our special podcast ghost, he was supposed to have some stuff during the week of the 71st podcast, but he hasn't had internet, and he's still kind of suffering from that. So he hasn't been able to write stuff up and send it over because, that's what happens when you don't have internet. With a small little phone data plan, you can't really write up stuff and send it out. So it's okay. We understand. It's all right. And then this week was supposed to be my week to write a weekly column. Well, I just told you I was in Minnesota. So I didn't really get to write anything, which means starting next week, it will not be Grunt's week. I have an article I want to write. I just didn't get a chance to. I will post a weekly column next week. I don't know if the Chronicles of All will return. Like I said, Freak Show's situation, just up in the air, coin flip at this point, I believe. But after that, Grunt will get his weekly column, I suppose, and then we'll see where we're at from there. So that's where the articles stand. But we did put out some new content on the YouTube channel right after we uploaded the podcast this last Saturday. Now, I'm unsure how many people have seen it. I honestly didn't check before this podcast. But we put out the GGG, or in other words, the genre guessing game. And this is something Grunt and I talked about, and we're really excited to get going. And it's something we're just going to do intermittently, and we're possibly considering even another video show that's similar to the podcast, but different. Still in the works. But the genre guessing game, we essentially read each other lyrics from a song, and the person not reading has to try and guess what genre they're from. Bonus points for artist, song name, etc., etc. And I don't want to say who won the first round, but it was closely fought. I had some stumps. I stumped Grunt a couple times, and he stumped me as well. If Freak Show gets mentioned more than me, is he still the podcast ghost? Ask Brock.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he's, I don't think he'll ever be usurped.
I get that reference, Storm. That's clever.
But, yeah, so we were stumping each other. There's only 3 songs each, so, I don't know the next time we'll record. Probably sometime soon. It was a lot of fun. Grunt's shaking his head because I totally got him on one, and it was great.
I'm still mad at that. I am still so mad at that.
You'll have to go watch it. I don't want to spoil anything, but go check it out. I think it's a little longer than I planned. I think it's like 20 some odd minutes, but we're just kind of sitting back, chilling, and making jokes, cracking jokes, and being a lot more casual than we would on the podcast. So
following the advice of your
cherry
limeade water.
Yeah, the refrigerate after opening part, right?
Yes. The refrigerate after opening part.
Yeah. So when we did this,
Excuse me, I need to go refrigerate now.
Yeah, we'll be right back, guys. We gotta go to the fridge, and but anyways, so that's where Frantic Talks sits as of right now. We'll have an article out next week. If you're curious, I'm planning on writing about. What was I planning on writing about? Crap, I forgot. I wrote it down. Right?
It was great. Considering you're planning on writing it, I hope you wrote it down.
I have the idea. I feel really bad. I got everyone's hopes up, and now I'm just like, here's what I'm going to write about. What was I going to write about?
It was something about game mechanics and art or something like that.
Yes, my idea is to write about the art of game mechanics, and it'll be an interesting...
The art of Zen?
I don't know. I don't know until I write it. The goal, though, was to just basically, like I've talked about it before, I do like making games in my spare time, and I've been really putting effort into one of these ideas I have, and that was basically that's the inspiration of it. It was like, how do I figure out how to make these game mechanics more interesting than just rolling a die. So, oh, I did forget to mention, last night, someone pulled out a Jenga tower, and I said, we're going to play Dread, and I made up a story on the spot.
Yes.
And it was fun.
How was it?
It was quick because this Jenga tower was unstable as all get out. But essentially, I read a quick couple of prompts on the Dread website, and it was like, you were salvaging a deep space ship that's been shipwrecked. And I didn't read everything about it, and I was like, okay, sure, we'll go with that, and I'll be the DM, but I'll also play, and I won't do any favors. And essentially, we were trying to salvage some parts, and Corky goes into the captain's log and then gets stabbed by an alien, and then we.
Wow,
it was really funny. So that was basically what happened there. But anyways, it was a lot of fun. I ended up dying, and I think the lady friend was the last one standing, and I was like, I think you win at this point because we're both dead.
Pretty much.
It was a quick one. I mean, I think we could have came back as different characters or something, but either way, it was fun, and I definitely enjoyed it.
Well, that's the thing is with Dread 2, you can take and continue that story later on. So, since all your characters died, you have to obviously bring in new ones, or, like have your lady friend bring her character along.
Yeah.
But, so, you easily could continue that if you come up with more ideas for.
Yeah. All right, so I definitely liked it. I think we'll probably try to do that again at some point in the future. So, anyways, let's move on to some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today. We got 2 real topics that I was going to add about, and one of them is not even that much of a topic. It was just more of a, hey, this happened, and here's what you can do now. So, Xbox One rolled out an update this past week, and it really just lets you do one specific thing. I mean, I think there was a couple other random updates, probably performance enhancements and other random stuff, but for the most part, it's basically you can now add your own custom gamer profile pic. So instead of having to just use like your avatar or having to use just random pictures from like games or something, you could upload your own picture of yourself. This does adhere to the code of conduct they specifically say, which means you can't just take a random dick pic and put it as your profile. As much as I'm sure many would be eager to do when they see a woman online and say direct to my profile. But that is basically the gist of this update. You can use your smartphone, you can use an Xbox Connect, I believe, and you can also use a Windows 10 device, so I believe like the computer I'm on right now.
Right.
Storm, why would you want to put a picture of your dick up there? Come on.
Let it down. Give me just a second here, though.
Okay. Grunt's gonna step out real quick, and now he's back. I don't know where he ran off to.
Something very important I need to do here.
Oh, okay.
Continue. It relates to us, though, so don't worry.
All right, cool. Grunt's going to continue doing that. But basically, they show Major Nelson on here as his picture of him like with a microchip in his mouth, I suppose is what's happening there. But anyways, that's the gist of the update. I don't know what else was there. Like I said, I think it was other random stuff. It says the Xbox Game Pass subscribers can now browse the library through the Xbox app. So that's cool, too. All right, so anyways, that was that, and that's really the only other thing we have to talk about besides the elephant in the room, per se, which is the Destiny 2 beta. And Polygon's headline is it sounds like an actual beta, and why they say that is because we're going to expect some issues when playing it, a lot of like error codes and stuff, basically. So a list of a couple of things they have here is that, and this was from Bungie.net themselves, and it's we could experience a variety of networking error codes when all attempting to play, along with server stability being tested, which could also cause error codes, and then location names could not be displaying, you could get kicked to orbit, players may be sometimes placed at the beginning of the inverted spire strike activity when joining in progress, so that means if they're at the end of the boss fight, you'll get started at the beginning maybe. We got sandbox balancing issues, so that's the most important piece, I think. But then also not all content has been localized in all languages. So if you're playing somewhere that I'm assuming is non-native English, you're probably going to have a couple of random things. So that is basically the gist of the issues that you're going to be seeing. Probably a lot of timing out, but the sandbox issue is something I think we should definitely discuss, because that's something that people are going to go pitchfork and torch immediately to Bungo's website and be like, what the fuck is up with this broken ass shit? Because you know how not Bungie players, damn it, I've been on a good streak for so long.
And it restarts.
You know how Destiny players can get, at least how the subreddit gets. So my thoughts, or you can go ahead. I've been windfully talking while you're banning people, so.
I mean, I'm not doing anything. I'm doing nothing of the sort.
When you have a native forum ninja, it helps out tremendously.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Not at all.
My advice, if you come across any big serious problems when you're playing, make a post about it in the help forum.
Yeah.
Because that's the best place where they'll be taking and collecting feedback and finding bugs and that to squash out before final release. So
Yes.
you go ahead and post about it on Reddit. You'll probably see it there as well, but
They browse Reddit. They have active accounts on there. It's just
my best advice is to go and make a post on the official help forum.
Yeah.
So you know they'll see it.
Absolutely. That I assume they check there more than anything. I would hope.
I imagine so.
So.
Also, stay tuned to @Bungie Help. I'll be tweeting out stuff that pertains, like when they're going to be doing fancy stress tests or whatever. I don't know.
Yes, that will definitely be helpful. I wouldn't. So you can, like in Twitter, you can turn on tweet notifications. I don't know how often they'll be tweeting, or if that would tell you if they were tweeting out to someone in particular. But excuse me, probably would help to keep an eye on their help account, because that would be where I imagine most of the information comes from. Like if it seems like all your friends are getting timed out, they'll probably have already mentioned it. So
right. So,
but that being said,
it's a true beta test. So that's one reason maybe why there's not a whole lot of stuff to do in it. Seemingly, is it's basically Crucible and a strike and a story mission.
Yeah, basically.
So it's a true beta test. They want to, like I said, I think last week, they want to find out if their servers are going to catch on fire.
Yeah, and that's something that I've heard people, well, not people, like game journalists have mentioned before, is that betas have more recently just become stress tests and not betas. So what I expect from a beta, and what I assume they mean by this, is that in a beta, you're playing something and trying to see bugs, glitches, and different types of like sandbox changes. Like the Modern Warfare games are a good example of this, or at least early on, where it was like, what guns seem to be already ridiculous, and people would cry and bitch and moan because the guns that were broken were above the level that you capped at in the beta. So I mean, that's a little bit of a side note, but regardless, it's essentially testing what is there instead of testing the servers for when they launch with a million players playing, or however many it ends up being. Which, I mean, it's good to stress test that. You want to be able to have as minimal amount of downtime when everyone launches the game at midnight when it comes out. It is just, I don't know, calling it a beta at that point, I guess I could see how people would think that they are lying or calling it something it's not. But it's important to do it, and where I stand on that, I'm just like on the fence, I suppose, because it's like, a beta is a beta where you're going to get to play the game early. I know they'll be making changes. They already said the sandbox isn't going to be balanced, most likely, or it might not be what they intended. There may be some god gun that has a random glitch when you double tap Y or some bullshit, but otherwise it's just a matter of expecting it to be not the game you get when it comes out of release. It'll be very similar to that, but don't go in guns firing saying this is the game I'm getting here in a month and a half or however long it is from now.
Right.
And I think that's the most important piece.
Goes back to what the title of our last podcast, the episode before that one, was.
Ground your expectations.
Ground your expectations, yes.
Yeah. And that's because, I mean, in that episode we did also still talk about the beta. I will say the problem is mainly that people just get so overhyped about stuff. But at the same time, we talked about it a lot because there was really no music, or not music. Why did I say music? There were really no articles that were really exciting to talk about. Like this week, we get to talk about the Xbox One update, and if we wanted to talk about all the Disney stuff that's in the sidebar right now, like The Incredibles 2. So that's why we're talking about Destiny 2, for anyone who's just not enjoying what we're talking about. I know Destiny isn't for everybody, but side note, aside. That's what I'm trying to say.
A lot of side notes.
Well, that's pretty much been everything so far. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, we're talking about this, we're talking about that because reasons. But more and more, what I'm trying to say is I'm excited for the Destiny 2 beta. Grunt's excited for the beta. We're collectively excited for the beta, and it should be a lot of fun. It comes out. You can preload it right now. That's another thing I think that happened within the past week that we hadn't talked about. But you can preload it. That way you don't have to worry about downloading it the day it goes live and fighting with everyone else trying to get bandwidth. you should be able to preload it now, like while we're talking and recording this, or when you hear this on Monday or whatever day you hear it. So that way you're ready to go when the beta gets unlocked for you, whether you're on PlayStation, which would be the 18th, or if you're on Xbox, which would be the 19th. You get to play it till the 23rd, and it'll be a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to all the things related to it. I'm not looking forward to the outflow of videos like, is this how the game should be when it comes out? And everyone suggesting every little minor detail be changed. I'm really not looking forward to that.
Yes. And they're bound to happen. But it's great because, they can take some of that feedback, and maybe if it's a lot of something people are wanting, they can take and make changes to it before the game comes out and be like, oh yeah, well, you wanted that gun to be less powerful or more powerful, but we made it that way because of all the feedback. So it's kind of a double-edged sword when you bring up things like that, because those criticism videos can be great and make the game truly better. Otherwise, at times it just seems like an echo chamber of everyone else who's angry.
Yeah, I suppose so. And they always say the loudest people are the most upset, which would be like,
That's true.
It's like you're going to hear from people who are really upset more than you're going to hear from the people who are contempt. Because when you're upset, you're more emotional and you're more charged. If I'm very happy with something, I'm not just going to go out and be like, oh my god, guys, 10 out of 10, you did amazing things, unless that's like my job. If I was a journalist whose sole purpose was to review, that's what I would do. It's not my job. I just play games and have fun with it, and if a game's great, I play it a lot more. I'm not busy writing up novels on why I'm upset or recording a video as to what specific thing and circling it on screen. That's the problem. So you're going to hear a lot more from the people who are upset with something specific, and based on the size of Destiny and its rough launch originally, you're going to get A, trolls, and B, you're also going to get people who are just going to try and feed off of all of that. So that's where they got to be sure not to read too much into something, because then they could definitely make a change that shouldn't have happened, or something like that. And Storm brings up a very good point out of all this, is that it's just a game. And then games are people's lifestyles, and I understand that. But at the same time, you got to respect the fact that it's not, I don't know, it's not something as controlling as, say, like, I don't know what the right term to use here. It's a game, and I don't want to belittle the idea of a game. Obviously, this is the entire reason the Frantic Talks podcast exists, is to talk about gaming and junk. It's in the name. But at the same time, humble yourself, ground the expectations, like we've said, and that's much better words to live by. Refrigerate when opening, of course. That's the key point.
That's always great. Yes. Always top advice.
God, I can't decide on whether the episode should be named Refrigerate when opening or Side Note. Or Side Note, Refrigerate when opening.
That's what it should be.
That's a good name. It's not chemo, is what Storm said. Yes, you're right. It's a game. It's not a radiation therapy to cure your cancer.
Right.
Two vastly different things of equal weight. No, I'm kidding. Two vastly different things.
Going back to what you said, I understand where people do treat the game as a lifestyle, because these people that do the criticizing videos, they are content creators, so that's actually what they do for a living. It's ad revenue and all that fun stuff. So it technically is a lifestyle for them. But at times, I think they take their lifestyle and they try and force it upon others.
Yes.
And not in the way it's like, oh, you should be out there making your own content. It's more so like, this is what I think, since I have a bigger voice, this is what it should be. And this is what everyone else that watches my content thinks too. It's like kind of one of those weird taxation without representation things, on like not actually being taxed or represented.
Right. No, I absolutely get what you're saying. And two things. Storm mentions a grain of salt, probably in reference to Bungie when they see these things, to how they should take it. But also,
there's a lot of salt out there.
No, there's so much salt out there. They don't really got to look very hard. Probably just turn around and can grab some salt. Shit. But what I was going to say is, there's an idea that I've been thinking about writing about that does play to a lot of what you just said, where it's, so someone like Dato, or however you say his name, can speak for many more people than those people could collectively speak potentially, because he puts things in ways I hadn't thought of most of the time, and he's usually really accurate about it. So if I have an issue with the game and I don't know what it is, I just know I don't enjoy a certain aspect of it and I can't put my finger on it, I feel like he could do better. But also, what I have issues with, and something that I've noticed, it's kind of true for anything, not just gaming, it's true for TV shows or movies or whatever, is that when a community rallies behind a show and starts enjoying something, or rallies behind a game and starts enjoying something. We saw this with Arrow, and I've been on mass tangents about Arrow on this podcast before, where the community just gets so ingrained into it that if something mild is something that changes, that's like mild enough to be like, wait a minute, we don't like that. It becomes life or death essentially. You see it in everything, and it's, I don't know. I browse Ask Reddit a lot, where people will post questions and they'll get a bunch of responses, and there's usually really good threads in there. And every so often a thread pops up that says, "What community ruined your favorite hobby?" Or what hobby got ruined by the community, or whatever. And usually you get a lot of the same stuff. It's like, Overwatch's community is fucking acidic as hell and all that shit, and it's terrible, or Call of Duty would fall in that category. Or like, I go bicycling, and if I don't have a $3,000 bike, I'm not a bicycler. I like motorcycles, but because I have what they call a crotch rocket, I'm not a real biker. It's gatekeeping, again. And that's where we run into this issue of who should Bungie really listen to in terms of stuff that people find problematic. The guy who has a reach like Dato, or a couple of people on Reddit that got upvoted 100 times. It's that's what it's all about to me. And I think Storm wraps it up perfectly by saying, anything they hear, anything they say, take it with a grain of salt. Because in the end, it's a matter of making the game they want, balancing the game the way they see fit by using your feedback, but not breaking everything because you think one thing should be way better than the other. Like, if people are saying shoulder charge isn't a one-hit kill, Grunt mentioned this to me earlier, and they think it should be, why isn't it currently? There's a reason behind everything. So I think the grain of salt comment is the best response to all of it. So I don't know, that's my takeaway from all of this that we've been discussing, really, is that a loud few shouldn't speak for the silent majority.
Right. So, yeah, as to who should be listened to, I think it should be, and a lot of times it is, equal listening, because, in the case with Bungie, I'm sure they look at the videos that people like Dato and the larger names do.
Absolutely.
They already said they look at Reddit posts. I'm sure they look at their own forums when they gather feedback. They look at their own data they collect in studio, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure they collect a lot of that.
Oh, yes. So, really it's when it comes to making a decision as to what needs changed, and I'm pretty sure we've been over this already in another podcast, is they take and they look at everything and they compare it to what they think would be the best option. So,
yeah, that's...
I don't know. Game development is a tricky and...
Oh, yeah, it's not as black and white as many people make it out to be. There's a lot that goes into it and a lot of choices that need to be made. So, of all the things that we've said in the past 2 weeks in regards to this beta, the real two things to take away is don't get salty and ground your expectations, because you'll get to have fun, you'll get to play it, you'll get mad because you get booted from the game pretty often, is what it's going to sound like.
That's supposed to happen.
You'll probably get killed in the Crucible by something that was probably unfair or probably ridiculous in aspect, and you'll record it and show everyone how broken it is. That'll happen with a lot of people, and I'm not trying to downplay your experience in this, whoever you are that is listening. But I think what it is really just have fun with it. And again, people seem to forget to do that. So that's going to be my goal. I'm going to go in, I'm going to go play, I'm going to have fun for the short amount of time we get to play this beta, and And then I'm going to look forward to the game coming out unless for some reason it's absurdly different than everything we've been shown, which is not going to happen, so that's going to be exactly what will happen for me. And I imagine a decent amount of people will be the same way. But before you destroy your keyboard by typing so many angry comments, just like that, just like you did, just slamming your fist on it, just take a step back and breathe. Refrigerate before opening. Take a step back and chill, but we're gonna say refrigerate before or after opening. Whoops.
I mean, in your case, refrigerate before opening.
Refrigerate before opening what? Your audio cut out.
Refrigerate before opening actually works perfectly in this case. So.
It does. So, with that being said, that's about all we can really talk about before we start rambling too much here. I don't know if you wanted to add anything else, Grunt.
I plan on going in, having fun, playing the game, playing the beta, for what it is.
Yeah.
Shooting aliens in the face and other people in the Crucible game modes in the face.
Exactly.
So
that's what it's supposed to be.
Just be sad when it ends and I can't mash the A button to sign back into the servers. Not that I've done that already or did that back at the end of Destiny 1's beta. Nope.
Right. Okay.
And just wait for the game to release and refrigerate after opening in this case.
Alrighty then. Definitely after opening. Chill after you play it. Chill before you play it. Just chill. Have fun. Don't be a gatekeeping asshole. Just have fun, man. Go zen. Get some chakras and shit, and just sit down and cross your legs and meditate before you play each game. I'm gonna do that.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna see how I'm gonna test those results and see if I play any better after I chill out, mellow out.
All right.
I'm not gonna advertise mellowing out by smoking weed or something, but you do you, man. I'm not gonna do that.
I mean,
just mellow out.
All right, we've just mellow out. Okay, I think we've reached the point of rambling.
We have. So this drink has carbonated water in it, apple juice concentrate, citric acid with natural flavors. I'm not going to read the rest of this. All right, so I think
I don't even know what's going on anymore.
we're just being dumb, and that's the podcast for you guys. All right, so
that's what we do here at Frantic Talks. We act professional, but yet be dumb at the same time.
Oh, at one point we had a joke about that. It was something professional. What was our joke? Because I remember it. It's like professionally unprofessional or something like that. I don't
something
remember.
Like that, yes.
Someone remembers, please let us know so we can continue to use that phrase, just like we use the phrase puntify. That we will continue to use the phrase refrigerate before/after opening. And usually, side note now, apparently, so many others. Either way, if you guys have thoughts on this, let us know. I'll tell you here in a minute where you can hit us up. But as always, we always want to hear your opinions on this as well, because we are not gatekeepers. Of course, we are just two guys who play games and have fun with it and throw our opinions out there. Sometimes we flame people like Steven Totillo, and other times we just kind of talk about stuff. And dude, I gotta throw in every reference in this. We're already at such a high level.
Oh, this is gonna get back to him one day, and man,
I ain't scared. Bring it on. We've already tweeted at him. Well, we didn't. Murr did, but
I mean, that's true. That's true. But to be fair, it's because he literally tweeted something that we talked the day before.
Yeah, we definitely.
The day after we talked about it, so it's like.
He just. Oh my god! How that man got in charge of anything surprises me. Then again, it's Kotaku, so he probably had sex with all the interns and got promoted, because that's Kotaku, so...
Okay.
Alright, before I break Grunt in half here from laughter...
where can you find us?
You can find us on Twitter. That's going to be the easiest way to continue this conversation. So I'm at FranticJ3. He is at Onyx Spartan, ONYX Spartan, all one word. And we are at Frantic_Talks. That is our official Frantic Talks Twitter account. That's where you will find all The podcast and articles we tweet about, along with any schedule changes, the like. Tweet at those accounts in any manner, whoever you want to talk to. If you want to talk to us both, if not, whatever. Tweet at those accounts to continue this conversation. Let us know your thoughts on the beta. I know we've kind of already asked that question, but either way, just want to hear any thoughts you guys might have before we jump in head first, and we'll be talking about it most likely next weekend, having already gotten to play it. Hopefully there's some other news stories so we don't have to talk about Destiny for 3 weeks in a row. Not saying I don't like doing that, but, whatever. Also, hit up at FreakShow187, our special podcast, Ghost. He likes puns, he likes puntifying things, all the like. You can talk to him about wrestling, too. Like I said earlier, I was talking to him about Monday Night Raw. It was fun. Not on Twitter, of course, but either way. Also, you can head over to twitch.tv/Frantic Talks, all one word, where we go live every Saturday, usually, at 3 p.m. Eastern. Usually. Because life is hard, and schedules happen. But either way, you can join in the conversation like so many did today, including Storm and Brock, and some guy we randomly booted. And you can also just check out the archive podcast if you want. But if you want early access to our podcast, head over to youtube.com, search up Frantic Talks, not all one word, but it'll work either way. Hit that subscribe button when you find us. It should be one of the first results. And you will get early access to our podcast, the video form that we have just recorded here for this podcast and many others, all on our YouTube account. And you will also get the GGG, the genre guessing game that we will upload whenever we get the chance, whenever we do an episode. Along with many other things that we still have in the works, but, like I said, life gets in the way. I was in another state for 4 days. It happens. So,
You're
also,
close to Canada, man.
I was. They had very Canadian accents. My name while I was there was Jardin, not Jordan.
What?
I don't
Are
know
you
why.
serious?
Yeah, I don't know why. I was really bothered by that. Oh, I got a mug with a bear on it. No, and I don't mean like a painting of a bear. Like, they actually had a separate part of the mug that stuck out that was like this wooden bear attached to it. It's pretty great.
That sounds amazing.
I'd show it to you if I had it in this room. I'll show you afterwards in the after show that we don't record, but might for shits and giggles. All right, anyway, sorry. Continue what we were doing. Facebook.com/Frantic Talks, all one word. Hit the like button like 135 other people have done, where you will get a more Facebook form of Twitter. And everything else you can find on FranticTalks.com, including everything I just mentioned in the footer, along with Xbox, DVR, links to me, Grunt, and I think Freak Show, maybe not. I'll add him on there if he's not there.
I do believe he's on there.
Okay. And magic.frantictalks.com, either by clicking on the link that says Magic the Gathering on the Frantic Talks website, or typing in the URL I just mentioned will get you to our Magic website, where we post articles about Magic the Gathering. We've had a little bit of a mini podcast, all kinds of great stuff there too. But if all else fails, if you have not been able to find us, it's quite all right. There is one simple rule you can always follow, and that is by not failing at this, because 110 times out of 10, you will not fail. Grunt, what can they do?
Direct yourself to your nearest search engine and just search Frantic Talk. I did. Just now.
Like he did just now.
And I've come up with our mothership, our Facebook page, videos of Frantic Talks, our YouTube channel, our Twitter account, our Stitcher. Apparently we have a company profile on some place called Owler.com. Didn't know about that.
Oh, well, see, we're on that website too. Check it out. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
There you go.
Acquisition history. Oh, all right.
Oh, boy.
You sold Frantic Talks? You didn't tell me?
By the way, guys, we're a nonprofit that steals other companies and kills them. That's why we've made no money doing this. We're really bad at it. That's not true at all. Don't listen to me. All right, I think that about does it for us today. I know it was a shorter episode. It's okay. Sometimes we get short. Sometimes we get a long episode. But it feels kind of nice to stick to a shorter amount of time this time around. Like I said, let us know what you think about the Destiny 2 beta, our thoughts on, grinding your expectations, chilling before opening, all that great stuff. And I think that is all I have to add before we close out here. Grunt, anything else?
I'm hoping to next week start a video project, or at least the formulating of a video project for us to possibly get out soon.
Hell yeah.
I have a couple of other ideas. I believe I told you about one of them last week.
Yes, I remember
I would like to do at some point, but...
Okay. Well, cool. All right, well...
Putting that constant promise of new stuff coming in motion.
Yeah. We keep promising it, and it's slowly happening. We had a new, like I said, the GGG. Hopefully articles start coming back after our busy weeks. But either way, just keep your ear to the ground and follow at Frantic_Talks for all the details that you need related to us. It'll all be there. And with that being said, that about does it. Guys, I am Frantic.
I'm Grunt.
We'll see you guys next time.